we made it. Welcome to the inaugural B-InPowerD Network podcast. I am Kimberly Robinson Alexander, Executive Director for B-InPowerD. It is a whole thing that I'm going to explain. I got my girls with me. I am so excited to do this podcast during Women's History Month with these two. We're about to cut up. We're going to share some nuggets. But, you know, Alicia Michelle Grace, MPA, has already started her shenanigans behind the scenes. You know, so if you hear me calling her Michelle, it is all about her alter ego who is acting up already. And then we have Amber Elaine Davis, excuse me, almost slipped up there. Y'all forgive me. It's still new. MBA, PhD candidate, my girl who is doing all of the things and getting it done. And, you know, so I am just so excited. I have bios, but the spirit is moving me to just allow them to talk from the heart about what it is that they do, what they're passionate about, and all of those good things. But before we go into all of that, I'm going to pick up my phone. Give me a minute. Sit tight. Grab your popcorn. You're going to need it because this is about to be a whole thing. And I want to share some stuff. So I'm going to share to some pages. Y'all get ready.
All right.
How y'all doing? It's Thursday. It's Friday Eve. How y'all feeling? I'm excited.
Working. You know, it's just, it's a busy season. So lots of things to do, but in a good way. You know, the way things are going, it can, in kind of in our country and stuff right now, it can be scary with, you know, what's out there, but it's always nice to know that you can be gainfully employed and productive and contributing positively to society. So I am definitely not complaining.
You say that again, because one thing for sure, it is definitely scary out there, and it is scary for all the brown faces in the room, all the black faces in the room. But I don't want to get ahead of myself.
It's scary for all of the faces in the room. Let's just say that. It's scary for everybody. I mean, especially us. But things that people did not think was going to happen are happening, and they thought they were exempt. It's scary for everybody.
That part.
Right. The best thing is, though, as the black people, we are kind of in expectation of the BS, right? Like we know what it is and we know how to behave and move. Some other people are in a state of fear because they don't have that resiliency that we have. So
because this is,
I mean, you know what it is. It's terrifying for everyone.
You know, we jumping right into it, and I feel you on that, Alicia. But you know what my problem with that is? I am so tired as a woman, as a black woman, as an Afro-Latina woman.
Afro-Latina woman, come on now.
Afro-Latina woman, that's right, boo. Of having to sit around and operate in this world out of my trauma, because that's what it is.
I can't say that.
You can curse. I mean,
my mom will be watching this and my grandmother. I'm trying not to embarrass them, but no, it is messed up that we have to operate in our trauma.
And that's my fundamental issue with it. I'm sitting around resilient because of trauma.
Right.
You know, I'm moving forward because trauma has taught me that is what I have to do on a daily basis.
Right.
And
it's exhausting. You know, we're told we're supposed to be resilient, that we have grit, you know, that we have this power to overcome. We shall overcome is what we sing. But us as the 92% specifically, we are tired. We are exhausted. We've been fighting both collectively for the people and the communities that we care about, as well as for ourselves, coming into these workspaces with microaggressions and discrimination and hiring practices that are exclusionary and things like that, only to be met with more and more battles. And so I am all about the rest right now. And I know, you know, for some folks, these experiences are new in the world today, but this is not our first rodeo. And so while they are getting their teeth cut on the things that are happening in society, we have been through this before. And it is okay to take a breather, to pass the baton to others, because it's it's a marathon. It's a relay race. Even it's not something that we can do by ourselves the entire time, because it's too exhausting and too taxing. And someone likened it to a choir and how strong the choir voices can be. And when you need to catch your breath, you can, and the other voices will continue, and then you're able to sing again. And so us as Black women are choosing to rest our voices at the moment, knowing that when it's appropriate and when we're recharged, we can lift them again. But for now, it is for others to step up.
Yeah, I agree. I love, girl, everything you're saying. You know what's coming to my mind? You know that song we used to sing, hallelujah, 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 right? Them Sopranos ate on that song, but baby, when they needed a breath, they needed that breath. And that's what you're talking about right now, because that's such a beautiful song when it's done in unison, right? But one section don't hit by itself the way it does when it comes together. And Kim, to your point in operating out of trauma, like, we are promised struggles in this world. That is scripture. Okay. And it's not right. And it's not fair. But what do we do to get past that? And for us, I agree with Amber, like, we sit back and we need to take a break. And sometimes my heart breaks for those folks that have not had that ability to build resiliency. And it's necessary as a woman, as a person of color. It should be necessary for humans in general, but unfortunately for some humans, instead of resiliency, manipulation is the tactic, or colonization or dominance or whatever. They take other opportunities to capitalize on things that they should really build some resiliency to, and we can go deeper and deeper into that. But I'm kind of grateful for being able to have resilience right now. Like, I'm grateful for the struggles. I'm grateful for what I went through, because had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So whereas I hate the fact that I have to operate that way, golly, I cannot imagine what I would be going through today if I didn't have those experiences to go through.
Amen. And I think the other part of it is that, because to Amber's point, we understand that it is a marathon. We also understand that it is a preparation.
Yeah.
That it is a preparation for what's to come. All of the things, right? The continued valley moments, but we're going to have those mountain high moments too, right? We know that we will get past this moment as people of faith, as people who understand how God operates, as people who know that this moment is just a blip in our entire story.
Right.
We are preparing for what's to come. Right. And so we done went around. Listen, I told y'all I was going to be something. I ain't even introduced y'all right. Y'all got Michelle, all the way
I'm still giving them Alicia. This ain't even Michelle yet. You know that.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with you, Alicia. Tell us about you.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I mean, what I can say about me is I am a woman, Black woman. I am a child of God, a follower of Christ. I am a mother of 2 wonderful, beautiful children, Jaden and Jacob. I am looking younger by the day, is what I've been told earlier. Okay. I have had a long professional career in organizational development, working on change management, strategic planning, you name it. I like to call myself a fixer, basically. You got a problem, you need to solve something, come to me and I can give you a strategy to figure it out. And I'm saying a whole lot, right? But so that's just me in a nutshell right now. And don't let me forget about my little baby Nico. He's a 5-pound. My boyfriend calls him the 5-pound pillow killer. Because he loves him some pillows. Nico loves him some pillows. Okay. But that's just it. I'm in a state of rest right now also. I am waiting for the next thing that feels right for me and my life. And this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to be of a stay-at-home mom.
Mm.
I am not about this life.
Forget about it.
I am a corporate girl through and through. Okay. I need somebody's problems to go and fix. But the Lord saw fit, okay, for me at this time in life to be here with my 13-year-old son, okay, who wants to be an athlete and wants to do all of these beautiful things, but want to be lazy at the same time. He saw fit for me. To be here with my daughter, okay, who is a college student and trying to learn her way through life, and she is just tea time all the time. Mama, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you. Okay, so he saw fit for me to learn how to do some doggone laundry and fold the clothes the same day instead of letting it pile up. These are things when I had my corporate role that laundry would stay and last for weeks, right? Do y'all have that experience? You wash clothes and then they just kind of sit, because I know it ain't just me, right?
That's correct.
So it's a different space in life, but I'm enjoying it, believe it or not. Like, I've taken some time to rest, to relax, to decompress, to cry, which crying has always just for me been like toughen up, thug it out. But allowing some grace for myself right now and preparing, like we're talking about, for what's next.
Amen. Amen. And it looks good on you, girl. It looks
Thank
good.
you. I'm trying.
Yeah, you still a hot mess, but it looks good on you. Amber, tell us about you.
Yes. Well, I like the way Alicia started. I will say as well that I have described myself as a connector. Mm-hmm. I really think that embodies a lot of the work that I've done with my life, being able to connect people to the next part of their journey, the next people or situations that they need to be in order to be successful, move forward, and reach that next level. And I say it that way because I started off as an educator, and I remember wanting to be a teacher, the entirety of my youth and childhood. And what I thought was a love of children, actually, in reality, as I discovered myself, was a love of learning and a loving of the aha moments that people have when it clicks within themselves what they are able to do, and the power within them that can be activated with the right people and circumstances around them. And so I've used that to kind of guide my professional career, my work as a writer, author, speaker, business owner. That's really what holds all of the things that I do together. Because from the outside, people will say that I'm in a million things that I'm doing, and I'm always having my hands in all different kinds of stuff. But when you really sit back and think about it, it's always about helping people get to that next moment, that next thing. And so, like Alicia said, this time, this season for me is about sowing. I've just come from a reaping season, and it's been very beautiful. I've been in business for myself since 2017. I've gone back and forth into the workforce during that time, but never letting my business fall by the wayside. And I've sown so many seeds over that time that I had this really beautiful harvest of people and things and situations that have been amazing. But now there's a shift to another season of sowing, and I understand that. And sometimes sowing is out loud, and sometimes it's quiet. But I know it's the work that's needed in order to secure the future that I'm looking for both myself and my family and my community. And so that's kind of the place that I'm in right now. So yes, grad school is a part of it. All of those types of things that I know are just laying brick by brick the things that are going to ultimately make up my future.
And if you don't tell me about my boys, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, that's what the people want to hear.
I'm a boy mom, and they're part of the future, too. And so right now, we all know as moms that every season of parenting requires something different.
It does.
From you. So I don't have the little ones anymore. I have that post-college son, and then the one that's still in high school trying to get over that hurdle. But, dealing with boys who are taller than you, that you have to look up to see them in the eye, is a a different challenge that you have
Yes.
to overcome as a mom. And how do you meet them where they are and help them to enter a world and navigate a world that's not set up for them?
For them.
You know, that's a different experience that we have as moms. And so that's an important part of who I am and what I do, to not just talk the talk with them, but also walk the walk when it comes to mental health and spiritual balance and finances and relationships and community, and how I deal with challenges and the events that are going on in the world, and my work ethic. I am trying to be just as much as a model for them as it is telling them how they can navigate and how they can be.
Absolutely. Oh, you said it spot on. You had me at looking up at the boy. You had me there because
I am above average height in this world.
I don't know what you're trying to say with that. I don't really know what that means. I'm gonna let that be.
Kim, you are short. Kim, you are short. So you're gonna be looking up at just about everybody.
Everybody.
I said in my head. Let me own it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was a perfect segue into kind of where I am in life. The place and space I abide in right now. And before the podcast, y'all, I said we, the three of us, were middle-aged, and you would have thought I cussed and called somebody out of their name.
Because baby, you might be middle-aged. Okay, but I don't identify as middle-aged. That's all I'm saying. So you identify as what you identify, but say you, not we, okay? Because I'm looking younger by the day. That's all I'm saying.
Are middle-aged. And I've transitioned. I guess at this point, this is my third career transition. I had a career in human resources for 10 years, and I've been a nurse for 15 years, and I reached a fork in the road, and I had to decide what gave me passion. And like you, Amber, I had to think back at, in all of the facets of my life and all of the things that I have done, what is the connective tissue? What is it that I really want to do? And what I realized is I want to empower people.
Oh, I love that.
No matter what it is that you want to do, be, whatever it is, I want you to abide in your power. Yeah. And I was on a rest retreat with Forward Promise. Shout out to them. And the whole point was to rest and be still and replenish. And I was talking to my cohort and all about these kinds of things, like, what is my next step? What is it going to be? And I literally went to sleep and woke up and saw B-InPowerD, spelled the way that it is on the screen. And that was the beginning of this. Yeah. And it has evolved to an LLC, to a C3, to a C4, to a podcast, to all of the things that allow me to live in spaces that I get to encourage people to be the best self they can be. But beyond that, to understand that they have power in a world that will continue to try to say that you don't.
That's right.
And I think for the last 2 weeks, that song Enough, it has like been living rent free in my head, because one of the lines says God has given you enough. And it is my reminder that every hurdle, every milestone, everything that I have done is enough. And it reminded me of one of my first mantras, which was, I do not have to qualify what I am qualified for.
Right.
Girl,
Yes.
Come on.
So I sit here with two qualified, beautiful friends, feeling qualified to be in this room.
Well, let's talk about that though, because I think that's important to know that just because we know we're qualified, sometimes we don't feel qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So how do we navigate through that? And what people do we have in our lives to kind of remind us of who we are, right? And y'all are those people for me. Y'all have always been those people for me. But I definitely want to talk about that, because while people know, I mean, sometimes you have all of the accolades, all of the experience, all of the everything, but you can still have this feeling of inadequacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for your viewers, that's something important to talk about and to discuss how other people kind of overcome those things.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's about connecting to people, connecting to my source, remembering, yeah, I'm feeling this way, but whose opinion is the most important opinion about me? And that's the Lord's opinion. And then what does God say about me? And so if that's what the opinion about me that God, who created me, has, then why should I have a different opinion about myself? But I will admit, there have been times on this journey that it's been hard to remember that.
Yeah.
Alicia, you're spot on, because we codify that as imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
This feeling of inadequacy, no matter what we have, what letters behind our name, what degrees on our walls, or what experiences that we had, we show up to these rooms and feel like we're not supposed to be in there. But we have to acknowledge something that Kim was talking about before, and that's navigating the world through trauma. So when we talk about imposter syndrome, it means different things to different people because of the experiences that we have as disenfranchised groups. We know that historically we haven't been allowed to be in those rooms, and we've had to be double or triple talented, experienced, skilled, or educated just to get our foot in the door, much less a seat at the table. And so those feelings are real, and not just a matter of our self-perception of worth, but actually a reflection of the biases, discrimination, and all of the other experiences that we have in the world. And so you look around and you see all of these other people who are not in marginalized communities being in these spaces. And just like Barack Obama said, my forever president, he said, you get to these spaces and you realize these people aren't that smart.
They're not.
These people aren't that educated. And if anything, who's sitting in the presidential seat right now is not qualified to do anything. So if that doesn't motivate you to be where you need to be because you qualified and you can, just do it. And
this is not a wig snatching conversation, okay? It's not a wig.
I'm about to get me canceled, but let's go.
Reduce it. The people just need a little bit, okay? It's a lot.
Look, I'm just saying, when we're talking about the resumes, the CVs of people that typically hold positions, this has nothing to do at this point about performance or anything. This is looking at the black and white qualifications to hold positions, to lead organizations, to be in these rooms where decisions are made. And we walk in overqualified, overeducated, overexperienced, and still hold our heads down like we don't belong there.
It's crazy.
That's deep-rooted trauma.
It is.
And then add to that the lack of professional development when you get there, the lack of investment in your professional growth, in your personal growth, where you are now in a position where you have to figure it out for yourself. And the first feedback you get is that negative thing for the one mistake that you made that now is getting highlighted, because we also then have to be infallible, right? We have to be infallible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we can't be human. We cannot be human at all. This is an experience I had with a previous organization. And it was a eye-opening experience, because I was like, wait a minute, because y'all's culture, because your mission and vision and values say, well, why does that work for them, but it's not working for me? I don't understand. And Amber, to your point, what I've learned is not only are they not qualified, they are intimidated.
Thank you. I was waiting for the word to hit. Thank you.
Immensely intimidated.
And will try to cut your knees off your body.
And that's why they won't let you get away with one mistake or one misstep, because they are waiting for an excuse to tear you down from the high horse that they put you on. Because not only are we coming in overqualified, they feel intimidated. We're not coming in trying to intimidate. And if anything, we have low self-worth about where we're supposed to be and what we're doing.
They don't even know it.
No, they don't know it. So they're thinking we need to be brought down a notch. So they're waiting for us to say one thing wrong, to make one misspelling, to send one erroneous email, so that they can bring us down, so they can feel better about themselves.
Yep.
And that's more than just being able to build ourselves back up with a sister talk. That is deep rooted systems of oppression that we are experiencing on a regular basis.
Yep. And it is the thing that we have to find our power for, right? Like,
that's right.
We have to find our power. I want to go back to Alicia's point of who do you turn to? What do you do? And there's a couple of things that I wanted to share. One of those things is when I get up, the first 3 questions I ask myself is, what do I need?
Oh.
Like, when I get up today, what do I need?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how do I feel? Mm-hmm. And then when I identify how I feel and what I need, the next thing I'm asking is, who can help me with that?
Mm-hmm.
Who can help me? And sometimes that's the prayer, and sometimes that's just sitting in scripture, and sometimes that's making a phone call. You know, sometimes that's sending y'all 150 memes because I done sat on the toilet too long on Facebook, and I done went down this rabbit hole of ratchet, and you know, for no reason at all, no sense at all, but it allows
that's what you needed at the moment
to decompress enough to not be in my own head, right? Yeah. I've also allowed myself to take a nap.
Girl, right? Nap's good.
Nap, I mean, they the truth.
Baby.
2 F's. They the truth.
That's
you
right.
know, like just being able to step back and come out of that decision-making fatigue and come out of that idea that this has to, like, I am queen of arbitrary deadlines. Ain't nobody give me a deadline for nothing, right? But I done put it on my calendar. And that was written in stone, and that deadline has to stay there. So I guess I go back to the word grace, right? Like I am learning, I am processing through allowing myself to not answer the phone.
This is correct.
Yeah,
this is correct.
And leaving my voicemail full. I got 44 messages right now. Sorry, y'all. But it's like I can empty it, but I don't want to.
Right.
You know,
and you're so right about, you know, our routines at the start of the day that really set the tone, because I used to be that person who wakes up, you're checking notifications or emails or whatever, and you're letting everybody else in the world determine what your day looks like. And a big shift for me was starting off with that intention, saying the brief talk with God. It don't even have to be something formal or what have you. Get up, connect with my body. I'm either doing my Pilates and yoga, or I'm running, or I'm going to the gym. And then I set my intention for the day. What will make me feel good about today? And then knowing, like you said, Kim, naps, but knowing that rest is not a privilege or something that has to be earned, but it is a requirement and a need. And I don't have to put off rest because there's so many things to do. I need to listen to my body because us as Black women, a lot of times we hold a lot of things in. You know, the times when we're angry, we're frustrated, we feel like people don't listen. And all of those emotions, when turned inward, impact our health. This is why we have the highest rates of autoimmune diseases and things of that nature, because we carry so much and then we internalize it, and our body has to hold on to it and figure out what to do with it. And so if my body says rest, I rest. If it says move, then I move. If my to-do list says I'm not finished, but I know that I need to be finished, then that's what happens. That's what happens. And it just creates this intentionality that goes with my life, and a peace that's very hard for other people to chip away at.
I want to talk a little bit more about that rest, if you don't mind, Kim, because I think that is something huge. And coming from a family of strong women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rest was never
That's right.
displayed in our family. I mean, my mom, my aunts, my grandmother were constantly on the move, on the move, on the move. Can't sit down for anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if that's all you've ever seen, then you feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. And I have had moments in the beginning of, my rest period right now that I felt guilty
That's
about
right.
resting.
That
And I would tell my partner, like, hey babe, I didn't do the dishes today. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, wait, you don't care? He was like, take them dishes, get you some rest. And I mean, I was like, but stuck, like, but I'm at home all day. What you mean? He's like, get you some rest. And I'm like, if this man can prioritize rest for me, honey, let me live in my rest. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me give me some rest.
Yeah.
So ladies, free yourselves. Get some rest.
Absolutely.
Take a nap.
Absolutely.
And I've learned how to use a dishwasher, y'all. You better be proud of me. I need a whole applause.
Because she did not know how to use dishwasher. Remember that, Amber? Remember that up there?
But I want to harp on something that Kim
Y'all being judgy about my dishwasher.
I did not judge. We listen and we do not judge.
I judged you that day.
But when you said,
I was like, you got a whole dang on dishwasher, man. Why are you making life harder for yourself? Do something different. I'm sorry.
When you talked about imposing arbitrary deadlines, we do that with a lot of aspects of our lives. And I always share this pivotal moment that I had in therapy, because we set up in our heads how things should be. And then when you stop and think about it, you realize that that's an internal narrative that you've likely internalized from, like Alicia said, mothers and aunts and grandmothers, societal expectations that things should be a certain way. The dishes should be done after dinner. This should be taken care of first thing in the morning. You should wake up on Sunday and clean your whole house to gospel music. And she said, who told you?
After you go to church.
Who told you that's the way it should be? And what it did is cause me to reflect on the narratives that I had internalized so that I can release some of those things, because we put obligations and expectations and deadlines on ourselves that are self-imposed, which cause us anxiety, and frustration when they really don't have to be there. But we've taken on other people's expectations that were never stated. That's the thing. Nobody told you that. No, like your significant other said, I don't care if the dishes are not done. But something likely was in your head that said the dishes needed to be done.
It was. Yeah, it was.
And we have to release those things.
Yeah. And that actually, it takes me to something else. When you brought up therapy, I was in a therapy session. Shout out to therapy.
Yes.
Shout out to therapy.
Yes. Period. Like therapy, exclamation point.
Right.
Period.
That's the whole post.
That's it.
Right. That's the post. That's the post.
But I was also in a session and I made a very finite statement. I cannot. And my therapist said, but if it happens, what you gonna do about it? How you gonna stop it? And it was a sobering moment for me, because I fix everything. What you talking about?
What you mean, right?
What you mean I can't stop it? I'm Kim. I am everything. I keep it moving. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I got all the way Harlem on him. Like, what you mean? What are you talking about? And he's looking at me like, so give me the blueprint on how you gonna stop this from happening.
Right.
And I ain't got the blueprint, but I just know I got it. Like, I got it. And it was a moment that I had to realize, like, after I finished being insulted, and after, I came back to grips with myself. Like, what am I gonna do about it?
Right.
How am I gonna change that?
Yeah.
And I realized, and I started working at understanding whatever comes, my only responsibility and the only thing I can control is for me to be the best me I can be when it happens. Because if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
And there is really nothing I can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get into the space where my journey is not about trying to affect change outside of me,
Mm-hmm.
but it is healing the little girl in me. It is
Ooh.
growing the little girl in me. It is facing those triggers. Because you hear people say all the time, I am recovered. I am redeemed. I am healed from my triggers. And the moment that trigger go, poof,
You right back there again.
right, you right back.
Right back. Yeah.
We not healed from our triggers. We stay
Right.
away from them, right?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
we avoid them. They're not in our face. Because,
Right.
baby, let me tell you, the first moment somebody give me poor customer service, I'm telling you, I got a good 15 seconds before I am Harlem, turkey necking, um, coming like, but you picked this job, right?
Right.
And not realizing
That's the first place you went, but you picked this job. That's the first thing you got for
Look at that face.
let me be honest right now, Alicia. I'm saying I got some work to do. You know, I'm owning it.
She said God ain't done with her yet.
You know, because I got bad days too. I have bad days too, you know.
Right.
And for every struggle that I'm dealing with in that moment, I don't know what that person is going through.
But you're right, Kim, that we will pick up the Superwoman cape under the guise of altruism when really it is avoiding and escaping the personal healing and dealing with trauma internally.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to be Captain Save a person for everybody else because that allows us to avoid or deflect the things that are within us and broken.
Yeah.
But when we put the cape down and realize a lot of the things that we're trying to affect and impact are outside of our control, then we have to sit with ourselves. That's all we have left. And you realize all that energy and the work you needed to do needed to be pointed internally so that, like you said, whatever comes, I need to be in the best position to help myself and help somebody. You put on your oxygen mask first.
Exactly.
And I'm over here trying to help everybody else and I'm broken inside. I'm dealing with trauma. And you're right, that child trauma, those mother wounds, the things that we've experienced as women, we'll just avoid that and help everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
But we have to do that personal healing and development first.
Mm-hmm.
And the place that took me was the silence is so freaking loud.
Oh my God. Is it loud though?
Yes.
The silence is so loud.
True. So true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the inaugural episode of B-InPowerD Network. I am with my sisters who have got me right, people who have, poured honesty, love, and care into me. I couldn't imagine doing this episode with anybody else. Alicia will tell you if you got nose hairs that's too long.
She will. She will.
In public.
Oh my God.
Workplace.
I've been delivered. Okay. The Lord has delivered me from that, and I'm sorry.
Not even
they were outrageous. I couldn't believe you didn't see them nose hairs when you looked in the mirror that morning. I'm like, what is going on? Do something with that, girl. That was horrible.
I have been delivered. All right. And I want y'all to know something. I hope this is helping somebody because I have a whole agenda here. We have not touched it once. This has really just been a natural conversation. It is just it's moving, I believe, in the way that it needs to be, moving. But we are this is her story, right?
Yeah.
In Women's History Month, these are all of the components and all of the things that we cover with our figurative masks and our figurative makeup, and these are the wounds and the scars that we continuously are trying to hide and bury, right? But we are the present leaders in our community, right? Our faces don't need to be on a billboard, and we don't need to have fame and glory. We are the educators and the builders of organizations and the healers of people. We are the current. And then we have those that are coming behind us. And I know as I was thinking about the things I wanted to talk about here, I think of, we just lost Nikki Giovanni, and
Yeah.
we've lost, Sheila Jackson Lee, and we've lost all of these integral people in our community that have really, they've paved the way.
Right.
And they have given us our antibodies, right? And we talk a lot about the broken mother, right? We talk a lot about the addicted mother, and we talk a lot about the person that has the outward flaw, the person who's been incarcerated, lots of jobs, works at McDonald's until they're 60 or 70, seemingly having no ambition and got food stamps. But those people give us our antibodies, because I know that I have found value in what those people have experienced, even if it was what I don't want to do. But their level of resiliency is unmatched.
It is.
The person who works at McDonald's on $7, $8, $9, $10 an hour and manages a family of 4, 5, 6. The person who has a chemical addiction that they struggle with, but get up every day and try anyway.
Yeah.
The person who has spent their life struggling to read, to write, to do whatever, that struggle is. And I want to make sure we get to the point where we start talking about the antibodies we want to leave for this generation that's coming behind us. For, those of us who are in midlife, and those of y'all who
I like that. I could accept that.
Yeah.
that are not really there yet. What is the message?
Yeah.
But Kim, you're touching on something really deep there, in the fact that we see this loss in society today of seeing people as human. Us as Black people, especially Black women, we have had so many experiences where we are treated as less than human, that we are not on an equal playing field with others, that we are considered less than or beneath. And there's an epidemic right now of othering people and not honoring their human experience and having empathy for who they are as breathing vessels on this earth that have every right to be here on earth as anyone else, regardless of the color of their skin, the money in their bank account, their birth lineage, or anything of that nature, that at the end of the day, we are all humans. And it becomes so easy to other folks, especially when it is built on low self-worth, that in order to make yourself feel better about where you are in life and who you are, that you have to make someone else feel like they are beneath you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really enjoy on social media is the Humans of New York and their post. And it really takes just this one laser focused lens on a person or a couple of people and gets really deep into their life. And it could be a life that you would never experience, would never come into contact with, and just gives you a glimpse into it. And so when you talk about someone who has an addiction or a chronic illness or something like that, and the resilience that they have to get up every morning and keep trying and pushing, You know, the fact that that may not be your experience, but when we see them parking in a certain parking spot or moving differently in a public space or saying something that we don't agree with, do you have empathy for that person as a human being rather than othering them? And one of the biggest ways we other folks is just call them a name. You give them a name other than what they are supposed to be called so that we can other them. And it takes away what you were talking about, that ability to learn from, to care for, to embrace, to understand, because those experiences are inextricably part of who we are as a society and a community. And we can't just look away and think we can continue life. But you're right, it's part of our makeup, it's part of our DNA as a collective. And so to attempt to ignore that, to me, is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can't have community without the community.
That's right.
It.
All levels of it. If we do not heal the most hurt part of our community, then we cannot have community.
That's right.
What I was going to say was, you know, all of these things you're saying, y'all are both saying, is beautiful. The fact of the matter is, when I see someone working at McDonald's, I don't know their story, right? I don't know, you know, whatever it is that they're going through. And so what we really should be talking about is, what does it look like to heal the community? What does it look like to address those things? And to Amber's point, empathy, right? So when you're at McDonald's and I feel like you have a bad day, right? Am I going straight to, and I'm just messing with you, Kim, but am I going straight to, you chose this job? Or am I going to, how you doing today? You good? I know it gets busy in here. You know, you're doing a good job. You know, and that is hard to practice.
It's hard.
Don't get me wrong, because as humans, we ain't the real Christians that's gonna turn the other cheek when we slap. No, baby, you come here, let me slap you back, okay? But that's not gonna heal our community, is the point that you're making. So, what does that look like in practice is what we have to get to. To your point, Kim, we're not on a platform. We're not gonna be the ones, you know, that are gonna be the public facing people, but we are the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, the people that are here, boots on the ground every day. And the way we empower our community is, I think, a lot of times allowing a little bit of grace, because we know our community isn't going to get grace from other places. Now, grace does not mean without accountability and responsibility. That's right? Because that's important. And sometimes I think our community, we can, you know, tighten up on that a little bit more. And that's a conversation for another day. But where we start, to Amber's point, is let's human them. Let's address people and meet people where they are, with empathy, with grace, you know, and I don't want to say treat people the way they want to be, the way we want to be treated, because we don't know, and we're not the same, right? But, you know, doing what we can in that moment. The other thing is, our best looks different every day.
That's right.
Every day, I don't have the same amount of whatever that I had the day before, you know. So whatever grace I got today, that's the grace I'm working with, and that's the grace I got to give you that day, right? But to recognize days that, you know, my grace is a little bit less, so I might need to just shut up. Because I ain't got that kind of anointing. My grace might be a little less.
Alicia said she needs to learn how to shut up.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. Sometimes I need to learn to stop, okay? And I acknowledge that, and I'm working on that. But in the meantime, until I'm there, let me just smile and turn around and go, right? Because we're already talking about how we get cut down all the time by the other people, you know. So for us to continue doing that, it's not healing our community, is what I feel like. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I agree with you. I think we also make it more difficult than it needs to be. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I'll use the analogy of my children. I have 4 of them. And 3 of them were all teenagers at one time.
Mhm.
And I would always say to them, if you have the patience in the street, then you have the patience at home.
That's true.
And if you have the ability not to react in the street, then you have that ability at home. And I'm guilty of it myself. Like, I need this paycheck, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Mm.
You know, I don't need another write up, so I'm not going to fight that. I'm gonna pull back. And then when I get to McDonald's driveway, I'm like,
You chose this job.
like that. I need you to stop acting like you know me.
in that New York accident. I'm sorry, Kim. That was supposed to be a nice moment. I ruined it for you. I only had so much grace. That's how much grace I had today.
Listen, well, now that's a go-to, which is like, you having a bad day? But it's like, are you having a bad day?
Right.
You having a bad day?
Exactly.
Because, you know.
You're not alone, Kim. I'm going to tell you that much. You are
I know I'm not. I know I don't feel no way about being transparent in that way, because I know I'm not. Like, I know I'm not. And so bring the same you that you take to colonialism, that you take to capitalism, that you take to your implicit, explicit, oppressive environments. Bring that same you to the places and spaces to home, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's your home that has the 4 walls, but then there's your figurative home too, right? Like, and that is your community.
Yeah.
And I think for me, though, it's a little bit more selfish in that I have taken great care to get my health where it is. And I recognize that interacting with people on those types of levels, returning energy that's negative, actually becomes harmful and detrimental to me.
Yeah.
And I'm in Houston, and traffic has gotten progressively worse over the years. And I used to be one of those people. I had some road rage. You know, I was going to curse. You know, I'm going to follow you on the freeway and brake check you, you know, and all this kind of stuff, because I'm irritated that you are driving like an idiot. You are putting us all in danger. You're reckless, you know, and doing things or giving me that energy back.
I never knew that about you.
And then I realized that, for one, I'm raising my own blood pressure. I'm endangering myself. And to Alicia's point, I don't know what their story is, that they could be on their last write-up and late to work, you know, or something of that nature. And no, that may not excuse their behavior, but to Kim's point earlier, I know what's within my control.
Right.
And so sometimes choosing not to return energy, escalate an argument, or initiate those confrontations, I recognize that the outcome is not meaningful to anybody. And if anything, it could be detrimental to my own mental and physical well-being. And it's funny because lately I have noticed that among us as Black women, in my interactions in public, I'm a smiley person, especially when I see a kindred soul, my kinfolk. I want to meet you with a smile. I want you to know that I see you. I'm the type that will compliment a stranger, you know, and things of that nature. But not everybody is like that. And many of us, because of what was going on in our head or what we're bringing to the space that we have come to, we kind of have our mean mug on, right? And we don't look inviting and we don't look friendly. And I've recognized, rather than reacting to that affront, at that point of not being welcoming or maybe not saying hello back or not returning the smile, that little seed that I drop, regardless of what they reciprocate or not, could be powerful to their lives. And I've noticed that with a lot of us Black women, it will kind of break the seal, so to speak. So once they see that you are genuine, you will get, you know, a positive interaction from them. But we're all carrying so much. And I've just found disengaging, even at home. You know, is this the argument that I want to have? Is this the tone that I want to use? You know, checking myself, because at the end of the day, this is my safe haven, you know, of peace. And I don't want to be the person who's responsible for disturbing that peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, checking the tone is a big one. And it's not easy. It ain't easy all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I am practicing it right now, right? Because what we have is two voices. There's the voice that everybody else hears, but there's the voice that I hear when I'm talking. A lot of times when I am speaking, I don't think you are hearing what you're hearing, right? And so me and my boyfriend kind of talk about that a lot. Like, you know, well, you said it this way. And even for him, no, I didn't. And so I think that's big, that what you're talking about, Amber, spending that time to not just say, I'm going to check my tone, but let me start listening to myself talk. Let me know what inflections come in my voice based on what my feelings and emotions are at that time. And so as women, we have this whole monthly cycle that's going on. Listen, cycle syncing is something that has just come into my life that I'm like,
I don't have daughters, so that's a you experience, but bless you.
Well, I don't just mean cycle syncing with my daughter. I mean cycle syncing my cycle with my life. You know, like this week, you're going to feel like this. You need to be aware of these things.
True.
This week, you're going to have tons of energy. This is when you need to do these types of things, right?
Very true.
And I've noticed, depending on where I am, and I have gone down a rabbit hole on social media about this. I'm not going to turn this into that, but this is a woman thing, right? Because I have always, even though, you know, when I was growing up, I knew, you know, about, you know, my cycle and all of that stuff. I didn't really believe that it had that much of an impact on our emotions and how we respond and what we do. And I felt like women that said, you know, oh, I'm about to start. I was like, you're weak. Get over it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You know, as middle-aged people, some of us are done with that.
I'm probably headed that way, but I'm not there yet. And so what my point is, not until I've had this rest in my life that I'm able to focus on myself. And I'm even wondering, I'm getting on my own nerves. Like, why am I on this man like this? Like, why can't I give him a break sometimes? And when I started looking at those fluctuations in my own, you know, levels, and so being able to, the whole point I was trying to make, I don't know how I went off on this tangent, but the whole point I was trying to make is understanding what's going on within you so that you can control, you know, what you're giving out to everybody else is significant. And that's the biggest thing, is just that understanding point. Because if I understand, then maybe I can create some systems or put something in place to do something different or better. The problem is, a lot of times we understand ourselves and we just say, I ain't changing. That's just who I am. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. Certain things, like I can't change my hormones, right? But I can change how I respond.
Exactly.
I can change what I say, what I do, how I engage, if I choose to engage or not, like Amber is saying. So I think for women, that's another nuance. We don't like to talk about it a whole lot. I don't even know if that was important or not on this page, but I think it's something to consider when we're looking at this whole thing.
I think it's absolutely important. I think it's important, especially in 2025, right? Because a friend of mine just sent me an article of 150 or 180 things that you can no longer say publicly, right? Like,
yeah,
with the government and all of this other stuff. But the other part of that is you guys are Southerners. You guys are Southern women. I'm not. So I came here, you know, with my up top. Somebody called me an uppity Northerner. I got called that when I first moved here.
What?
I'm so far from.
I never heard that.
Like, so far, I was like, uppity. Like, what you talking about? Right? Like, so, but I came here with my dialect, right? Like, all brown ain't the same, all black ain't the same, all Hispanic ain't the same. And there's cultural nuance amongst us.
That's right.
That's different. And so when I got here and was like, what? Like, I'm gonna need you to. And that was like a regular part of my vocabulary. In New York, that ain't a thing. Yo, I'm gonna need you to go take care of X, Y, and Z. And here, I'm like, I'm gonna need you to go handle this.
And you like, we like, first of all,
right,
you don't need me.
You know, and then we go left, right? Like, and I'm like, but what's your problem?
Yeah.
What you saying? You know, and all of that just creates this discord of misunderstandings. Because honestly, it's two people who are not speaking the same language.
Mm-hmm.
It's just two people who are not speaking the same language. I ain't got a problem with you. You ain't got a problem with me. We are not speaking the same language.
Yeah.
And so just to take that a step further, I actually started recording myself, like listening to my own voice and what annoyed sounded like, and what I started practicing putting people on hold when I feel it coming, and it get right here, and it's a battle, it's a fight. Like it's a Tyson and Holyfield fight.
Yeah,
it's a right here.
That throat chakra.
Man, let me tell you, the way I just want to be like, blah, 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 blah. And so I have to start, like, I'll put people on hold. You know, I can't do this right now. Tag somebody in. Again, let me reiterate that our agenda went out the window, but this was for sure. This was for me. I hope
for me too.
But I know that this was for other people out there. We are at the hour mark. I want to be respectful of not just your time, but our audience's time. Thank you so much for joining us. But I do want to, before we leave, you know, this is a Women's History Month, the next generation of leaders. So I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to share one thing that you think is important for the next generation of women leaders in 2025 and beyond, to make sure that they intentionally pour into themselves.
Amber, you go first.
I'll go first, and I mine will probably be short and sweet, and it's to just be bold. What I've learned at my grand old age, even though I'm not middle aged, is that no matter what you do, everybody is not going to like you. And being unauthentic is only going to take away from who you are and your satisfaction in life. You might as well show up as your authentic self so you can truly find your people, and be who you are supposed to be, unashamed, unabashed, so that your messages and your efforts can reach the right folks. But trying to be everything to everybody, or liked by everybody, or conform and compartmentalize yourself lessens the impact of your work. You know, I think about folks like Jasmine Crockett, who are out there doing the do, and whether you like her or you don't, you like her approach or you don't, she is being her true authentic self. And each of us has the ability to rise up and fill the niches and the spaces that we're supposed to, but we can only do it when we're authentic. So just be bold.
Amen. Alicia?
Oh my God. Amber, you took it out of my head, basically, with the authenticity. To add to your be bold, I would say be unapologetic, almost, right? For so long, we apologize for all of these things that are not ours to apologize for, right? You know, we're always in comparison of ourselves to another person when we don't have to compare. And I tell my daughter all the time, the only person you're in competition with is yourself.
That's right.
It's for you to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. So that's what I would say. In adding to authenticity, be unapologetic and kill comparison, because you cannot live up to the destiny that you have if you're trying to be somebody else or live somebody else's destiny.
That's right.
Absolutely. And I will bring up the end with, I have a mantra that I say, which is, I didn't birth babies to bury them. And over time, that evolved from my physical babies, the four of them that I birthed, the grandchildren who I deem mine, no matter what my children say. Um, but it is also my intellectual gifts. It is everything that has been placed in me and all of the genius that God has given me. And so I say, be in your power, because you were not called to come here to bury all that you have to give this world with your death. Leave it here. Leave it here for somebody else. This was so awesome. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for doing this with me, for cutting up and acting up with me. So much more to come. We will be running a Her Story Women's History Month program all of the month of March. April, we will be talking to our young people on the spectrum, girls and boys, men and women alike, highlighting their power and all it is that they do in their exceptional way. So stay tuned for all of the things that are coming from B-InPowerD Network and all of its components. Please like, share our information on social. And again, thank you for joining us today. Bye.